Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another book chat. This book chat brings you a book from my shelves, actually, my digital shelves, but it's been on my shelves for a little under 2 years, almost 2 years. And let me show that to you right now. Let me bring up the file. Um, Field day with my files, aren't they? The book was called St. Magnus, the Last Viking. This was a saint that I never heard of before. Yeah. This is a copy of the cover. There it is. The Last Viking by Susan Peake. It was published by Seven Swords in 2015. This version was. And Susan Peake wrote a series of historical novels for young adults about long forgotten saints. And this particular one piqued my attention. It's the story of St. Magnus, who was born on the island of Orkney, off the coast of what is today Scotland, in the year 1080. He was born into a time when there was a lot of feuding and violence, which is customary with the Norse people at that time in the Middle Ages. But he had a reputation for being very meek and mild and gentle. He was known for his piety, even as a young child. And he did go into battle when he had to, but he was much more inclined to spiritual pursuits, and he wanted to join the monastery, but his father wouldn't let him. And as the book opens here, you find the two sons, he and his brother, around their father's deathbed. And actually, I should say his, not his brother, but his, not he and his brother, but his actual, the generation before. So his father and his uncle around their father's deathbed. So Magnus's grandfather, and then it passes down to Magnus after that, and the story revolves around the feud between the two brothers and the fallout that goes on for generations after that. It's a very interesting story of how love is sacrificial, and how acts of conviction and integrity can change not only personal accountability and personal futures, but also courses of whole nations. Let me show you also one more thing here. Let me go and see if I can find the map that I had. I had a map of the Faroe Islands that I wanted to show you. Let me get rid of this. There it is. And whoops. Sorry, wrong file. This is a map, a modern map of the area. So here we have the North Sea on the right-hand side. This big landmass is England, Scotland, and Wales. So Scotland is here, and you have the North Sea on the east. You have the North Atlantic Ocean on the west. And where they come together, you have this group of islands called the Orkney Islands. That's where Magnus was born. And then about 50 miles northwest, you have Greenland over here in the corner, Iceland also. So this whole region fares in the book. So it's kind of nice to have some semblance. And then Norway is this landmass to the east. Norway and Sweden, and that figures prominently in the book as well. I really enjoyed this story, even if you're not normally into saints' biographies, and it's not something that I've spent a lot of time with, but this was very fast-paced. It kept me turning pages. I was pretty sure that Magnus was going to be martyred, and he's a martyr of the church, but I didn't know anything about the story or his personality. And the story, even though you know he'll be martyred, is definitely worth reading. Susan Peake did an excellent job researching this from the Old Norse sources. There are 3 particular Norse sources that talk about saga of Magnus Erlandsson, or Magnus the Martyr. You have to be careful because there are several Magnuses, but definitely a story worth reading and a 5-star book from me, and that's my recommendation for this week. Magnus, The Last Viking by Susan Peake. I'll be back next week with another book from my shelves. I was doing some counting this week and looking at some of my reads, not only from the pandemic, but from the rest of the year. And I have read 12 books off my shelves, combined between my physical and my electronic books. I've read 12 as of this video, and hopefully I'll be back very soon with another one. Take care, everybody. Hope you're well, and hope you delve into the story of Saint Magnus, because it's a story worth reading and worth knowing about. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.